So the word says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman rightly dividing the word of truth. So you study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman rightly dividing, meaning you could divide the word correctly and come up with the right answers. So as I started analyzing all of the data and information over 19 years that these power couples have been pouring into us, and when I started watching this DVD right here of E.T., when he shared the gem of information for marriages, you on contract instead of covenant. So we used to have a technique back in the early Break the Cycle days when E.T. and I was still in college in Oakwood University. We used to have a study to show thyself approved unto God, workman rightly dividing the word of truth, a technique. We used to call it doing things in the spirit, like watching movies in the spirit. All right. So the first time this technique was introduced to me was with Braveheart, the movie Braveheart. And what I learned is you can do anything and analyze anything in the spirit. And when you watch things in the spirit and analyze things in the spirit, you get principles and lessons out of regular, ordinary movies that if you just watched it normally, you wouldn't get. All right. So after ET dropped that gem on us, I started watching this DVD in the spirit, and I started hitting the word. And when I say that we're gonna share what we learned, um, I'm gonna share what I found watching this DVD in the spirit about being on contract or being on covenant. Because it was revealed to me as I studied the word that, well, if we want to be on covenant and not contract, we want to be on the best covenant relationship there was. So as I went to the word and started looking for the tip top covenant relationship, it took me to the beginning. In the beginning. ITB, in the beginning. The very first time that till death do you part was stated in the word was in the beginning. And the reason that so many Christian marriages have the reason that Christian marriages have the same divorce rate as non-Christian marriages is because we have fallen for the okie doke and we have fallen for all of these myths. There are a bunch of myths out here. But when I watched this DVD in the spirit and analyzed being on contract or on the covenant, and I went back to the beginning and looked at the very first time the covenant was established between man, woman, and God, Adam and Eve, I saw a myth. A myth jumped out at me, and a myth was dispelled and corrected right before my eyes by watching this DVD in the spirit and studying to show myself approved, right? Here's the myth. The myth that has been taught over and over to me, I'm talking about, in my opinion, I've heard a myth over and over again about that first covenant. The myth that I've heard a million times is that Adam blamed Eve for the fall. He blamed Eve. When they were hiding in the cool of the day and the master came looking, Adam and Eve, where are you? Blah, blah, blah. Got to the bottom of everything and he asked Adam, what? So what happened? And when Adam said this woman that you gave me the fruit and I did eat. It was always taught, in my opinion, to me. The myth that it was always taught was Adam was blaming Eve for the fall, for why he fell when he said, this woman that you gave me. But when I studied that, being on contract and covenant in the spirit, one of many, many, many things, and I'm going to share all of the points that I learned, but this is one of the main myths that was dispelled. Adam didn't blame Eve. Adam claimed Eve. This woman that you gave me. He wasn't blaming Eve. He was claiming Eve. He was saying, till death do you part. This woman that you gave me, this flesh of my flesh, this bone of my bone, this rib, this one that when I saw that every other animal had a helpmeet and I didn't have one, and then you gave me this woman that you gave me the fruit. So I ate it, because till death do us part. If she has to die, I have to die. If she gotta go, I gotta go. Yes, I know you can start all over again. I got many, many other ribs. I know you could take another one and redo the process and instead of Eve, give me Sherry. Instead of Eve, give me Cynthia. But I don't want Cynthia. I don't want Sherry. This woman that thou gave me, Eve, she's mine. Till death do us part. If you gotta kill her, you gotta kill me. The whole women's liberation movement happened right there, because that was redemption. Eve was redeemed. That's why the marriages is falling apart. Y'all don't have triple-double marriages. Y'all not putting up a triple-double because y'all blaming instead of claiming. You blaming Eve instead of claiming Eve. Eve was redeemed at that moment. She was guilty as charged. And Adam covered her. He covered his rib. And they made a covenant there with the master. The covenant. They was on a covenant relationship between each other and their master. Then they sacrificed the lamb and taught their kids to do it. And they walked in that covenant. Y'all gotta get rid of these myths of marriage. You teaching it all wrong. So, for the next 90 days, because, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I have this DVD of E.T. breaking it down. I have this book, Woman's True Desire. And all of the myths that, while I was studying to show myself approved, that I came across. Taking and packaging this DVD, this book, and all of these principles, and going to share them with any couple, anybody in marriage, struggling in marriage, planning to get into marriage. We're going to do a 90-day, it's called The Father's Wish for Marriage. Alright? So for 90 days, starting in June, we're going to have 4 separate start dates for 4 separate classes. First Monday in June, first class going to start. Second Monday in June, second class going to start. Third Monday in June, the third class going to start. And the fourth Monday in June, the final class going to start. And they're going to end the first, second, third, and fourth week in September. 1 day a week. We're going to issue points from the book points from the DVD and points from the myths. We're going to issue those. And then another day during the week, we're going to get on a webinar and we're going to discuss what we learned. And for 90 days, we're going to break down this thing and we're going to attack it in the spirit. And we're going to get these marriages to the place where they are supposed to be. Now, if you're not married, we have something for you as well. My father, Pastor Frank E. Leggett III, has a series for females. He has a series of training. It's called Flower Training. Flower Training. The Flower Training Academy. Because women, you guys are flowers. Flowers are made to be pollinated by the bee. The flower sits there and is beautiful and has the pollen that attracts the bees to it. Meaning, the flower doesn't get up and go and chase down the bee in order to make the pollination thing happen. Just like internally on the genetic reproduction level. The egg sits still in place and the sperm does the traveling and comes and finds the egg. Females, you guys are the eggs. And in our relationships have gotten out of alignment. So the Flower Training Academy is meant to teach women how to get the relationship process back in alignment. So that you no longer have these issues that come with being out of alignment. And Dad deals with the women and I deal with the males. I have a training academy based off of the In the Beginning principles of Adam. It's called Adam Stand Up. There are 4 specific things: being a priest, a provider, a protector. All of these things were taught and given to Adam, and having dominion. Priest, provider, protector, dominion. Dad does Flower Training Academy. I do the Adam Stand Up Academy for individuals wanting to get back in alignment who are not married but are in relationships. We have 90-day training academy programs as well that will go on simultaneously starting in June. All right. So between now and June, there are materials to get so that we all will have our materials in hand and be ready. All right. Dad has his book and materials. I have my other book and materials, and we are going to solve these issues and get all of these issues back in alignment. The Father's wish for marriages, the Father's wish for relationships. Let's do it, y'all. And the beautiful thing about this, and I'm going to say this, the reason why I'm doing it for 90 days is because when Stan and Sharice got up there and talked to us about love and business, I set a goal. And I told my wife, December the 8th, 2015, I will retire you. All right? December the 8th, 2015, I will retire you. Because 2016 will be our 20th year anniversary, and that's going to be our year of jubilee. My wife will be 40 years old and 20 years of marriage in 2016. That whole year we will celebrate. Retiring at the age of 40 is unheard of in our generation and in this day and age. And we're going to talk about and learn the love and business principles and all of that in this 90-day program. So get your materials, get in June, because in September, we're going to be done. October, November, we're going to prepare to retire my wife. And in December 2015, the celebration begins, the year of Jubilee for the Legettes. You can have your year of Jubilee as well. You can retire yourself and your wife. You have to take ownership of your life, though. Just own it. That's the motto for the Father's Wish and Layish Inc. and everything. Just own it. Stop settling for servitude. You were not meant to be slaves or servants to anyone. Rule. You were meant to rule. Let's go.